Recording has begun.
Oh, thanks. That's Monica.
Oh, okay.
Just letting us know.
Huh.
We're
Is it 2:00?
1 minute.
1 minute?
We're
Okay.
getting close.
Okay.
And did you say Nicole won't be here, or
don't-
you think you're expecting her virtually?
I don't think she's going to be here. I don't know if she said virtually or not.
How
But
about 2
Mike is coming late, right?
Right,
Because of the
he
audit.
said around
Because of
3
the
or
audit,
something.
yeah.
Got some big wig coming.
Okay.
Right. See with them.
Right.
Who are you
Oh.
representing today, Mr. Alternate?
Oh,
Which vote are you? Are you the chair?
I think I ought to represent the chair.
You off the hook, isn't it?
There you
I
go.
might as well get as much Frank as I can.
There you
Yeah,
go. There you go.
Oh.
So RN is Nicole? Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, it's 2:00. Should we call the order to meeting? So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as presented. With a notation in the future. We want some old business.
I second that. Favor?
I.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item number 2, review of the monthly treasurer's report. I believe this is the July report,
That's correct.
and this is July, the end of, like the final July report, or is this,
This is
Pre-
final.
final?
Yes.
Okay,
This is the books closed.
Yes, we are finished with July,
okay.
as far as I know.
So one thing is that, is it possible for us to put an attachments on our agenda in the portal of the report?
Absolutely, that can be done.
Okay,
It typically is, so I'll make sure that that's, well, for other commissions and for our council meetings at least, so we can do that.
yeah. And then, these are my notes. For the vendor report payment, is it possible to sort it by descending order, based on the amount?
Mhm.
So you want the highest at the top?
Yes.
See why.
Is that okay with everybody?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is there any to link the vendor to the cost center or the budget? Or if it's an enterprise where it's being paid from, if it's not just general fund?
We could probably provide a detailed vendor report of what expense account it's being allocated to. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sort of, because they're not all out of operating, are they?
no,
No.
mm-mm. No, yeah, so you would want to see sort of expenses even by fund, sewer, water.
I would like to.
And
Well, I
that-
would think so,
Yeah.
because we're just not familiar enough to recognize on our own.
We can group the vendors in some sort of manner that would give you more of that information. Absolutely.
For example, there's a Bay County contractors in there for 49,000, so.
Mhm. That's actually our council had a specific question on that transaction as well. This report was delivered to them on Tuesday's meeting, during Tuesday's meeting. And so I just happened to respond to the town manager with that question, and that was for emergency, I believe sinkhole work in Kings Grant.
Oh, over on the other side, okay.
Mhm.
49,000. Wonder when they're gonna finish it. And the gradient construction for 183,000?
Yep, that's related to our MS4 project.
Okay, that would be really nice to see it under the different, 'cause that makes absolute sense. We wouldn't have to ask questions.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
again, that was also why I was able to respond so
Yes,
quickly. That was also
okay.
asked by council as well.
Mhm. They might actually like to see it the same way that we're asking for it.
And Chuck did mention, or Mr. Stevens did mention, in the Tuesday meeting that he kind of still is, marinating, so to speak, on how he would like the treasurer's report, and so is the council. They're still kind of trying to find a happy medium of, timely information, relevant information presentation in general. So we'll definitely get that input, to Chuck as well.
Well, Karina's already cut it back by about 50%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she scaled down significantly, and I think now it's more, I think just kind of like going through the smaller, the minutia, but yeah, they're working on it.
Yeah, so I guess I think we should have a cutoff of the amounts. I mean, I don't think we necessarily need to see a $351
Okay.
payment. Maybe everything above 25. If I don't know what is our capital threshold.
20,000.
Yeah, so anything above 20,000.
Mhm.
Okay, any other comments on the vendor listing? No? No? Okay. So moving on to the treasurer's report. And this is closed books as of July, correct?
Correct.
If it's possible for the treasurer's report, if we can maybe present the information like you presented on page 9,
Mhm.
where it has the year-to-date information. If we can do that for all the funds,
Mhm.
that would be nice. So for example, on page 3, revenues budget is 17 million. And the actuals is only 227,000. So is this just for the month of July?
That's correct. And typically in municipal government, we don't see sort of linear revenue collection throughout the year. We'll see sort of like two big dumps of either, income tax payments, property tax payments, that sort of thing. So for July, that would have been, that 227 would have been the actual revenue that came in-house.
Yeah. So maybe show actual and then year to date.
Okay.
I know it says 98% of the budget, but that just involves a lot of calculations for me.
Sure.
And then dollars remaining, it looks like 17 million, so I couldn't understand that. So if we see the example on page 9 of the report, I think this is the right report. Yes, it's similar, if we can make it similar to the sewer revenue and expense overview on page 9.
Mhm.
I think that really lays out the information very well.
Absolutely.
And we can see right away that the sewer fund is in a deficit. Revenues were 217 and expenses were 260.
I'm not sure where you
On page 9 of the presentation,
The revenue and
sewer
expense.
revenue overview.
are, and you saw. And you were talking about, what numbers are you talking about?
So on page 3, it was kind of confusing for me because it just showed the month revenue. And the percent remaining was, the dollar amounts remaining were 17 million, so I couldn't quite understand that.
Yeah, I do just want to clarify that figure just represents the amount of revenue for the remaining year that we've budgeted to receive. So this reports that we've had 227,000 of revenue come in July, and we're anticipating another 17,677 budgeted to come in throughout the remainder of the fiscal year. So essentially, we budgeted 17.9 million. We've received 227,228, so to speak. And therefore, we've got 17.6 million in our budgeted revenues left to receive.
I think if we compare that to what's presented on page 9, it's more straightforward.
Sure. Absolutely.
So it'd be all fun.
Yep, we could do the general fund. So for instance, just looking at the sewer and revenue expense, I guess the categories in the general fund would be revenues received from income tax, real property tax, and that sort of breakout, because obviously in the sewer, we've got major facility fees and such, but we could definitely format the data to look like this.
Okay,
That's not a problem.
yeah. Think.
Yeah, I think, yeah, there's the explanation makes it make sense a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay, do you have any comments on the treasurer's report?
I do not have any comments on the treasurer's report.
Or highlights?
As I mentioned, it was presented to council on Tuesday, and outside of some generic vendor payments questions, they did not have much to comment on either, but also kind of Mr. Stevens, some of the council members wanted to know if similar question to yourself, if the revenues received were what we anticipated, on a monthly sort of fluctuation. And he did also reiterate that typically we don't see that linear sort of revenue stream. And then this is only the first month of the fiscal year. But we'll see where the data carries us. And it'll be interesting to see what everything looks like in January.
Yes, yes.
Really time to repackage this.
Yeah, then as I mentioned, it's on Mr. Stevens' mind as well to try to come up with something, but they're really just trying to figure out their best ideology on that.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
we went at this once before
Mhm.
as a group and
Mhm.
that's got it down from about 30 pages to it's looking at 11 now, which is
With it not being linear, is it still about the same amount each month on each year? So like with you were saying like income, so I'm just trying to think of a way that maybe you could
Mhm.
show like obviously you could explain it to someone, but just like something to show on there that says, hey, this is the expected value. Maybe like I think we're talking something about earlier, like 5-year average. This is what it has been this month for the last.
Right,
5
yep,
years.
I have exactly where you're
Yeah.
going. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion.
So
Because
I
then
know,
you
I
would
know
have
in
something
my,
almost linear to compare it to.
Mhm.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
at the board, what we used to do was look at the year-to-date revenues and expenses current year and look at year-to-date and revenue expenses the same period last year.
Mm-hmm.
And percentages, look at those, and then we can see whether one line item is running hot, cold.
Mm-hmm.
We
Absolutely.
can see that.
Absolutely.
I think that's what she's trying to do, right, with the prior year actuals comparison
On slide 3.
on 9.
Okay, on
Slide 9 is an FY25 and FY26.
Yes, and that's why if it's possible to use the same format for all the
Mhm,
funds, I think
mhm.
that'll be good. That
Okay.
that shows, right?
Yeah, and that's the one thing I would say with like 1 year, and especially with the variance for the expenditures of how it's almost like a 50% or a doubling.
Mhm.
With that, it's hard to say, okay, were we way outside the range last year or are we way outside the range this year? Because you're just comparing 2 points. So if you do like a 5-year running average, I think it'd be easier to see where you're landing.
Gotcha.
It's good. It's a good point. Okay, are there any additional comments on the treasurer's report?
No comments here.
Hearing none, we'll move forward. Matters of discussion. The reserves, comparative analysis and discussion. In our last meeting, we forwarded the reserves for the 5 counties. I think I did 4 or 5 counties, right? In our comparative analysis, do we have a fund balance column in there by any chance?
We have capital fund reserve, and rainy day fund reserve. That was it. It wasn't-
So then I'm assuming the rainy day fund reserve would be the unassigned amount, fund balance, the unassigned fund balance. I think we need a,
Well, that our unassigned fund balance is expendable funds. So I don't know, just rainy day would be just a name. Um.
Doesn't the Plata have one of those? I don't know if they call it rainy day. It's the one they put in together after the tornado came through. It's one of the ordinances that were actually written.
I just have to bring up I don't know where I logged anymore. I can't remember the exact name of the fund.
so So typically in these financials, it's all the dedicated amounts for the fund balance, and then there's a unassigned amount, which I believe may be considered as a rainy day fund, just in case. I think the town manager would like to see a presentation to look at what are the funding levels that everyone is using, the percent of funds for the fund balance, what's the required percent of funds that they should have in the fund balance, and anything exceeding that. I don't think we have that policy in place.
We do not currently.
So is Mr. Stevens looking for a information like that specifically just for fund balance?
I would say, well, for the reserves, yes, and that would be Karina's initial desire as well, to receive feedback or recommendation, on exactly what you just mentioned.
So I don't think we have,
If you actually,
is it
there,
this
there
way?
are a couple, but there, not a lot of towns are providing that information. For example, for Cambridge,
Uh-huh.
they had a pretty robust one. So they have a rainy day, a debt service reserve, a maintenance fund reserve, an economic reserve, and then I think they had like 3 or 4 other smaller ones that were all individual line items on their budget.
Uh-huh.
But not, there's at least 4 towns on here that just are listed with NA. It's because it's not on there.
I found Middleton quite by mistake.
Oh, okay. So you had to dig
Inside
for
a
it.
budget sheet of theirs, and at the bottom in big bold was rainy day fund reserve. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me
Okay.
drop that in.
So maybe we should, I mean, if we can designate assigned and unassigned, for the ones that we can't, we'll put NA. And maybe we can base it off of the percent of operating revenues.
What was, I think Karen, maybe you brought it up at the last meeting where you were looking at some regulation or something where a recommendation by some policymakers with like two months of reserves for every category. GFOA.
Then we were gonna what about looking at I couldn't find anything. Does GAP say anything? GAP policy, does that say anything about reserves?
I am certain that it probably has some sort of recommendation. I did not, get that information.
What does the GFAO stand for? Government funds?
Government Finance Officers Association.
Finance. What was the-
Officer.
Because they have some pretty straightforward standards. And if you go out and look for best management practices on it, they're all coming in around those numbers.
Okay.
And they're coming in as percentages of revenue, percentages of income, as opposed to dollar amounts. And the two
Yes.
ordinances that we have in place are dollar amount ones. They're
Yeah.
not percentages. And there's been nothing taken into consideration for inflation or the fact that 20 years have passed or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. And then, we bring it up to them and see, okay, hey, is this tenable? Like, how long would it take us to save those rainy day funds? Or if, hey, do we maybe even already have enough to cover that, to create those?
I think it would be good to get a base, a plate and start with something
Mhm.
and then build from that, because I feel like with this, at the moment, we're chasing our tails on it a little bit. And it was hard to find. I mean, I don't know how long it took you to do the one you were doing, but Middleton wasn't so bad, but Easton they were all over the place. I mean, Easton Utilities is a completely separate entity from the town of Easton.
Yeah.
And all of the things that we're interested in is under the utilities, and I couldn't get to that.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a couple where I just like, I tried searching by hand and I couldn't find it. And then I just searched for the number that was already on the spreadsheet. And so
That too.
that's how I ended up finding some of them. Yeah.
And so in the comparative analysis for the population, what year was that reflecting?
So I kind of threw that together pretty quickly. I wouldn't say that was too reliable. I just did a quick Google search, because I probably, the best way probably would be to see when these budgets were written, in what month, and then try to get the accurate population number for that month. But I just wanted to kind of get something out there just so we had some ballpark numbers, because I wouldn't imagine any of those are probably more than 5% off. Like they're probably close to right, but not exact.
So is there, I think for consistency's sake, we may want to look at a standard report, whether it's from Consensus Bureau or I don't know any other bureaus that would do the population. And I'm assuming that this population is the county population. Is that right? Is this the county? Yeah, because 11,037 is for La Plata.
55,000's about right for that, yeah.
So this is the municipal population.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's one of them, then I think Hagerstown is way off. There's no way Hagerstown has that kind of revenue. I feel like I started there
Yeah.
and I gave up because those numbers do not reflect the town of Hagerstown in Maryland. They
Okay.
they don't have 158, 484, 891 in total revenues. I mean, Easton's one of the wealthiest and they only have 31, 806 to 512.
Yeah, so
I couldn't make those numbers work at all. I couldn't even find anything close to it.
Yeah, I think Winchester is probably pretty far off, because when I did a per capita for Winchester, their budget was like 10 times more per person. So unless that is an extremely affluent community, that doesn't really compute for me.
So, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna agree with Karen. I think getting the GFOA figures and then just applying it to ourselves,
Mhm.
and I think that's going to be a good baseline
For the reserve.
for the reserves. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But for this exercise that we're doing for the actuals, I don't know how everybody feels about it, but you know, the information that Karen provided and you provided really lays out by county by municipality for each county, taxes and everything else. Even the function of expenditures are laid out. Even though it is a 2023 data, I think it's something that it will show a good snapshot picture because all the information is consistent.
I agree with that. Yeah, because we can literally just overlay them and be like, hey, every line item is the same between towns.
Yeah,
Here there's with a lot of missing information.
Yeah.
It's hard to get the full picture.
Now, Easton was 24 data because 26 is not available. And she only had 24 on here as well, and I was able to find 24. I couldn't find 26.
Okay.
so in this case, in the report you provided, Karen, it was 2023 data and it's all laid out consistently. And I think
It's all
it's,
pulled, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
I was able to validate what was pulled.
Yeah.
Middleton was 26, was their proposed 26 budget, and I think you did the same with Cambridge, right?
That's correct.
So, looking at, the format, right? And I just took the revenue data, using the local financial, information and, calculating the per capita. So, total revenues per capita using the population we have is 2,371 for 11,374 people or residents. Comparing that to Cambridge, which is 13,262 residents, their total revenues is 2,376. Their operating budget, their operating revenues is 1,735 compared to La Plata, 1,036. Property tax is $599 per resident, and for La Plata is $488. The difference, I think, between the two, income tax is $88 for Cambridge, and it's $198 for La Plata. And business, what on a business license, what I did, I just used a service charge line item and in the report, and it's $88 for Cambridge and $198 for La Plata. So just looking at that information, it seems to me like La Plata is relying a lot on service charges and keeping property tax values down. Whereas Cambridge is doing the complete opposite, which is $599 is a higher property tax value and the service is just $606. But yet their total operating revenues are similar to La Plata. So I think those are the comparisons that maybe Mr. Stevens is looking for, and then we can ask questions of, why is that? If you look at New Carrollton in the report, they don't have service charges. So I'm assuming service charges are all collected in the county, not by the municipality. So these are differences that I think it stands out, that maybe Mr. Stevens can see that.
So what I'm a little confused. What are you trying to show here?
I'm just trying to put the data on a per capita basis based on the report. The unified, this is the local finance report that you shared
On
with us.
that document that you shared. So you
Yeah.
did, so we don't have a copy of what you're looking at then?
No,
No.
I haven't. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just doing it,
Yeah.
because I know everybody's trying to do the current information, which is the 2026 budget.
So what's the objective that you want to come out of this data? Are we trying to just draw some comparisons between them, or are we trying to make a statement from the comparison?
I would say draw comparisons between them and then let Mr. Stevens, bring up the questions and say, okay, this is, he can do further research if he likes.
So that's not reserves though, is it?
No, it's not
It's
reserved.
This is something,
These are just the revenues for each of the municipalities. I mean, we could do similar analysis using the expenditures because in that report, it does show municipalities with the expenditures. I think this is a nice, good, very good report that you guys shared. So that's just my take on it.
Budget summary comparison.
No,
E-
talking
e-
PDF that was sent to us last week from before us and Andre.
Okay.
which is the local,
All
yeah,
all these documents, and he's comparing back to that, he's comparing data back to that other document.
yes, the,
I don't know what it's called.
so it's the town's budget summary comparison. It's that Excel file that we're using that's shared by Nicole and by Andre.
But you've got another spreadsheet somewhere, haven't you?
It's pretty similar to the same one. If you look at the bottom, there's another tab that was created in that Excel sheet with it's called per capita.
Yeah,
capita.
not that.
Yeah.
So basically what I did, I took this information, put it into his spreadsheet, and then the per capita, it's calculating whatever I put in. And I know Nicole wants to include Front Royal and Waynesboro and Winchester. I mean, I don't know if, I'm sure Virginia has a similar report like we have with the local finance report. But it does show interesting variances that I think it'll be worthwhile to look at. Sales tax revenue and meals tax revenue, I don't know whether that's anywhere in the report or anywhere in the financials that I'm aware of. Yeah, so I guess bottom line is what I'm saying is that we need to get some uniformity in the data that we're collecting. And I think that the finance report does that already within the state of Maryland.
Somebody's put a note.
Oh.
Cell note.
So I know that in our last meeting, we talked about maybe Mr. Stevens would give us an idea with questions.
Yep, and I did preface him that there was going to be an email coming from me with that information. He's away at the council is having a retreat today. So that's why he's not with us. But yes, we can definitely put together, and I know in the work session you mentioned that you'd prefer the listing in his priority order. So I will get that question out to him. And then hopefully he will be able to join in the October meeting to follow up with that.
Okay, so go back to what you've done.
Yes.
I want to write down a one-liner of exactly what the outcome of that data collection is doing. So can you give that to me again?
A one-liner.
Something, well, something just so that when I go back and look at it, I will remember
Okay.
what your goal or objective is with that data.
Okay. So let me just tell you what I did first, okay? Which is I just took the information from the 2023 data that you provided to us in the last meeting. Specifically for La Plata, the data is on page 156. I concentrated on just the revenue portions using the highlighted information that we have on the on our Excel spreadsheet. So I took the 20
The three that we looked at.
the town's budget summary comparison Excel sheet.
Okay.
So what Andre did is he took that information and he created a new tab called per capita. So any information that you put into the La Plata Town Comparison Budget tab, it would extrapolate the population and the per capita information. So I just put in there the total revenues, the total operating revenue, total property tax revenue, income tax revenue, and he has a line, he has a column in here for business license PBOL revenue. I translated that to service charges for each of the municipalities. So I took all the, just the actual revenues of those line items. And then I used his tab to come out with this information. And so bottom line,
Document, you've overwritten his in dollar amounts and put in the ones from the PDF from 2023.
yes,
You've got new numbers,
yes,
okay, which are probably better, cleaner.
consistent, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you're gonna share that with us, but
Yeah,
at some point.
yeah, I mean, I was just, experimenting,
Experimenting.
okay? But yeah, I can share this,
I'm,
absolutely.
I'm beginning to see the logic in what you're doing. now.
Yes.
I'm understanding it now.
Yes,
So by doing this and having numbers in there, you're trying to make some informed statements about what the town of La Plata is doing compared to some other municipalities
correct,
that we've reviewed.
correct.
Okay.
And from what I was talking about, I just compared La Plata to Cambridge because their populations are similar.
Then extrapolating some reasoning as to why you think they're doing it
Yes,
from, okay,
yeah.
all right. Now whether I want.
I know that's not a one-liner, but
No, but no, now I understand what you've done. because
Yeah.
you were-
yeah, yeah,
I'm not sure about the whole business license versus where these titles came from
right,
up there, but.
right. So property tax revenue is pretty self-explanatory. Income tax revenue is self-explanatory. And just looking at the information from the local finance information, those are the major revenue streams for the total operating budgets. It's property tax and income tax. And then for your service charges, it seems to me the biggest amount for enterprise operations, what they call enterprise operations.
So when you're talking property tax, and we're just talking residential property tax, we're talking property tax. We're not-
tax, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be hard to take Virginia because their property tax includes vehicles and other areas, doesn't it?
That's correct. Sorry, I'm over speaking, thinking out loud.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's correct. They do. Their personal property tax
Yeah.
application is much different than the state of
Yeah, so
Maryland.
it's hard that would be a hard one to go outside the state with.
But if we do use Virginia data, that could be a footnote. Or it's an explanation of why the differences.
And what would our reason be for using Virginia? When there's so many in Maryland that we would have.
I believe Nicole was just saying that it just gives us the bigger pool of data. There's just some other towns that are.
If it's comparable.
If it's comparable.
Thinking there was 158 municipalities that are incorporated in Maryland, and we've only got a few of them. So were they washed out from the report for a reason?
Because of size.
Was it the size?
I would certainly think
Yes.
there's a lot of little ones.
Like Indian Head and.
Yes.
What tobacco is really tiny.
Oh, yeah, and there's some just as small as Port Tobacco.
See, these are not even. Cambridge is the only, Cambridge, Middletown's half the size, Bel Air, New Carrollton and La Plata, and we don't even have Havre de Grace and New Carrollton. We don't have their information, do we, in here? We have Bel Air, that was it,
We have the information of Havre de Grace in this.
but it's
report.
not in here.
It's not in
Yeah.
there.
So you're taking the data, you're looking at taking the data that we pulled and doing a lot more analysis than what we originally started with, which was the reserves.
Yes, the reserves. So I think there's two different analysis. One is the reserves and one is the comparison revenues and expenditure comparison.
I'm sure down the line, there'll be much more, as I mentioned in the work session, that'll come from this data. I just know, again, we have spoken about that the reserves, the recommendations on the reserves were a priority of Karina's to come first. And then following after that, if based on, Mr. Stevens' response or what, the pathway of the committee, it could be the revenue and expenditures, et cetera.
So is there any way that we can get the questions
Turned around quickly.
early? Yeah,
Yes,
quickly,
absolutely.
that
Yeah,
way-
no, as I mentioned, I did preface in passing that this was coming his way. So I know he is tied up today, but I would anticipate him being able to get a response back to me by early next week.
Okay, that's great.
Essentially, what do you want us to do with this data?
Yes.
Right? Really, pretty much.
Yes.
So I can kind of give him a little summary of what you guys have put together in reference to the data and all of that. And so this is kind of where you're going, maybe a little guidance on, from that would be appreciated. Okay, great.
And if you can maybe forward. Oh, man. If you can forward the reports that Karen and Andre provided, I think it's a great report.
Absolutely. I don't know if I've received those, but if anybody wants to forward them to me, I can include them to
Okay,
Chuck.
Yeah, I don't think I had your email.
Quite all right.
Nor did Andre.
Quite all right.
I'll forward it right now.
it really lays out on a consistent way.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
No, I'm happy to share it with him.
comparison, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, so, Joe, you have any comments or strategies or?
My only comment, if we, New Carrollton, with that, we might watch out for the differences of the way Prince George County has the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission, which handles all the water and sewer and that kind of thing. They also have the National Capital Park and Planning Commission, which handles their zoning and all of that for these towns.
Okay,
We're a complete operation here, so to speak.
yes, yes,
We do pretty much everything as opposed to some of that, so that's the only thing I would.
Yeah, the two that had Police, sanitation, and water and wastewater were Cambridge and Dorchester County, and Abington Grace and Harford County. The other two had WSSC, like you said, for water and wastewater, and Harford County for Town of Bel Air for their water and wastewater.
Oh, okay, Harford County, okay.
So back to your point, Joe, looking at New Carrollton, because they have these commissions, their per capita data would be much lower
It-
compared to
it-
La Plata,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because they don't have any service charges at all. And that's because it's provided by the commission.
Yeah.
So that's something that Mr. Stevens, that would help him, I think. Looking at the neighbor, Prince George's versus us.
And I think it actually applies to Montgomery also. so-
Montgomery.
So,
But thank goodness we don't have any, we didn't use any the municipalities for Montgomery. They're,
at another level.
yeah, they're at another level, I would say. Yeah. Um,
So what's our next step for the reserves? For the GFOA?
I would say that maybe we should gather their recommendations from each of the organizations and then compare it to maybe the information I forwarded to you, Martha. I provided copies of the fund balances,
Yes,
reserves.
the hard copies at our last, or during our work session. Mhm.
Yeah. So maybe just do a percent of revenue or operating budget to that and
Where are our reserves at right now? Ballpark?
So I can't, off the top of my head, I don't believe there is a calculation of how they're configured. We have our contingency, which you could also call a rainy day fund, which has a balance of 1.6 million, and that was established with an ordinance quite some time ago. Again, to my knowledge, no rhyme or reason where that number came from and has not been reviewed since.
Okay.
We do have reserves for building replacements, vehicle reserves. And then we do have one other, we have reserved for our major facility fee revenue. And again, these are a little bit different. Well, that particular fee would be a fund balance. But as far as budgetary reserves, those are our main ones. And they've had these standstill balances. There's some that have not been contributed to in quite some time. I don't know if Karina's provided you guys with a listing of our reserves, like an account listing,
Not sure.
maybe with like a year-end balance or anything. Okay.
but it should be in the audited
Yeah, I
financial
was gonna say,
statements.
so
That's
what is-
correct. Yep. And we're currently going through our audit right now, for FY 25. For the year ended 6/30/25. We are anticipating having that done, by the end of October, middle of November. But as far as those balances being unaudited, we don't anticipate any changes being made to them by our auditors. So I'm comfortable with giving you guys those numbers, as of year end. And I can send that over this afternoon.
So trying to materialize this for the focus for this fund balance information. Maybe if we can get the recommendations from each of the organizations and then maybe look at other counties, the one I provided to you, Martha, and then do a percent of total operating budgets and
Okay.
see where we are.
Okay.
And then, Mr. Stevens can present it to the council for their, decision.
Their viewing pleasure.
Yes, for their viewing
Yeah,
pleasure.
absolutely.
Typically online.
Yes, our audited financial statements, once they are wrapped up, are posted on our website.
Okay, and I imagine.
Correct.
So that might be a source.
Middleton's is only, their latest is 23.
The order.
Yeah.
materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a little difficult too, because they're not, take time.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, is that, and that way when he comes, at least we can have some kind of presentation for him. And obviously, once we get the questions, it'll focus
Gonna
more.
make that path forward a little more
Yeah.
clear. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it kind of honestly sounds like we're probably not in that bad of a place, because if you're saying there's like 1.6-ish in that contingency fund,
hmm
that's already kind of more than a month of a general fund budget and reserve, and then plus those other accounts. So like we're probably kind of seems like already in the ballpark, but yeah, getting
Yeah, just kind of,
numbers.
and then also I think what the priority to the behind it is just establishing a formal
Mhm.
reserves policy of fund, how we're gonna fund them moving forward, you know, what criteria has to be met to be able to spend funds from the reserve a little more in detail, but absolutely.
I think that she was concerned because at the moment, if somebody decided they wanted to do a big expenditure, that money's totally accessible.
Oh,
There's
there's
no
like no, there's
restrictions.
no rules. Okay.
Yeah, there's no restrictions on it.
Okay.
So Karen, you've done some extensive research, the GFOA and the,
No, I haven't gone to the GFOA.
oh, you haven't? Okay.
I
So where do
That
we
was
get the recommendations from the,
I think the
Uh,
GFI did say 2 months, right? That was
Yes.
from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think we went into the weeds of like
No.
any
Okay.
more granular detail. That was just like the highlight of
okay,
it. So we need to.
So, I remember too, if we go to GFOA, or we, not being a member or whatever, as individuals, are we gonna be able to access any of their recommendations, you think?
Absolutely. I think that their best practices,
I was on their website just a minute ago. They had like templates and stuff like that. That was all just downloadable.
oh,
yeah.
okay. I figured a lot of their information in terms, I think membership really only applies to a lot of their training and their educational aspects of things.
Okay.
But as far as like public information, a lot of that should be available.
okay, so does everyone feel okay where direction we're going to?
Yep.
Aaron, you good?
Yep.
Okay. Um. Good?
Hmm,
Okay, all right,
I'm hanging on for the ride.
all right, okay, okay. So should we move on to the next, or does anyone have any other comments, final comments for the reserve comparative analysis? Ideas?
Need to get
Okay.
into it, and
All right,
then we'll have some ideas. probably.
yes. Okay, so moving on to facilities tour.
I think Martha kind
Yeah.
of suggested it. I think
Maybe
October's.
Any dates? Do you guys have calendars available just to maybe, so when Karina gets back, I can give her a couple dates.
Yeah.
To suggest. And as I mentioned, please do anticipate to, the majority of the day, probably about 6 hours or so
Okay.
is what I was told.
If at all possible, I'd like to do it October 10th, it will move back,
Okay,
just because I start getting real busy.
Okay.
okay,
If it's before October 10th, that's wide open for me.
okay.
If we don't start super early in the morning, that'd be beneficial. So like I don't know, like a midday or like a 10 a.m.
Like a 10, yeah, okay,
Somewhere in there.
yeah.
Us retirees love that.
No, that works. We could do like a 10 to 4 or
Okay,
something,
yeah.
yeah.
So what day are we talking to 10? Oh,
No, I just said I'd like to do it before the 10th.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Okay. Okay, so I'll be out of town and returning on the 5th of October.
Okay,
I have doctor's appointment and part-time employment um, obligations on the 7th and 8th.
okay,
So
so
the
Monday,
6th,
maybe
the
looks
6th, the
good.
9th, or the 10th.
Okay, well, the 9th, I believe we would have,
We have a committee meeting.
you guys would be
Oh, we
meeting
ha-
again
okay.
for your October meeting. So Monday, the 6th looks good right now
Yeah.
for everybody? Okay.
No.
No, Mr. Norris.
Well, what time?
It would be probably 10 a.m. start time.
Okay. Is it,
You got packed schedule.
yeah. Um,
The 13th, I believe, is the 13th is a holiday, right?
Mhm.
Are we open or no?
Are
is
we?
that Columbus?
Because that's
Mhm.
Columbus
Columbus Day?
Day. I
Yeah,
want to say
think
we're
they got
open.
Columbus Day years ago.
Yeah, we're
For-
open for the
for
day after
holiday.
Thanksgiving.
Before, believe it, before I was here.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So it's been a while.
Yeah, if the 13th is open for everybody, we are open. We could
Not-
possibly do that date as well.
Yeah, but not Karen.
No, I can do the 13th.
Oh, you can?
Yes.
Be fine. Okay.
Or the 14th? I mean, I'm sure everybody has family obligations the 13th. No?
No, that's
No?
pretty low priority holiday.
Yeah, okay, all right, okay.
Here,
Yeah.
okay,
Karen, you good?
the 13th, Mr. Norris.
Yes.
All righty.
So we can give options, right? The 6th or the
Yep, we can go.
13th?
I think I'm gonna shoot for the 13th at first, and I'll go also ahead and get with our facilities manager Donnie, so he can go ahead and get, because he had mentioned getting a big van for all of us to be able to go to the facilities together in. So I'll get that on his radar as well.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, I guess, can we take a 10-minute break and hopefully Mike can come
Right.
and we can do the minutes approval? Is that all right?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay,
With a recess. Do you want to come back at 3:10? That's about 8 minutes, or did you want to give him the full 10?
give him the full 10.
You got it.
Yeah, give him the 3:12.
3:12,
back, yeah.
absolutely.
I would think we're all on that same page, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's not go to zero.
That's a struggle the theaters have now. I've been pretty happy with our reserves until last month. We lost our biggest HVAC unit. It cost us a ton of money to
Like,
replace.
You have to get a complete new one. You
Yeah.
can just repair it.
It was 25 years old, so I guess we got our
Yeah.
money's worth out of
I
it.
think reserves are sort of a hot topic right now in smaller municipal government. There's a magazine that the GFOA publishes called the Government Finance Review. And their cover of their August edition is getting reserves right.
All right, all right.
So it's interesting because I do find, and this is a slightly off topic, what we're finding ourselves, some of our challenges and some of the questions on our path forward, we are definitely not alone in the municipal world of similar challenges. I can say, the annual conference that the GFOA holds was in DC this year. So quite a few of our finance members were able to participate. But we found a very common thread in some problems and questions and uncertainties that we're facing as a town is very common in many parts of the country. Which is nice because then you have sort of a network like the GFOA, everybody's in the same boat together. So I just found it funny that when I got this the other day, I was like, what's the universe listening to us, you know? So yeah, it's definitely a great organization.
That's just interesting. It's all of the philosophy behind the stuff, but,
Are you on it now?
oh yeah, I'm in it now. It's pretty decent. Nothing else will put me up to speed on this.
So at the risk of derailing what's already accomplished in the last hour, I'm going to follow up with what your statement with what's happening with federal government seemingly pulling away from more and more things. Is that going to affect a town, municipality? I know it's affecting nonprofits, but what about government organizations? So in other words, if we're not happy with our reserve today, is it going to be harder to be happy with our reserve, say next year or the year after?
I don't
Come down to the municipal level other than maybe cutting revenues.
The only, in terms of revenues from on a federal level, and I'll actually use a real life example that we had this year. Our police department participates in a drug enforcement program with the county, but we are reimbursed for those officers' hours through a grant that the county receives from a federal agency. And our contract renews every year in January, and we received our contract almost 3 months late, still with no guarantees of funding at that time. About a month later, we did receive notification from the agency, but it was their federal funding was up in the air at that time.
So that's a perfect example. There might be little things like that that could affect our finances going forward because there is a connection with federal funding.
Yes, now, and that specific example, very, very small, really immaterial, quite frankly. It's a couple $1,000s in terms of that, but it just to keep in mind in the future that we did have real life impact with, you know, what's going on the federal level.
So, Mike, just for your benefit to summarize what we went over for matters of discussion in the agenda. We hopefully will be getting the questions from the town manager early next week that are in priority order. That would give us a guide to how we want to move forward with the data collection that we're getting.
Will that priority be influenced by your department or just?
Nope.
Yeah.
In passing, I did mention to Mr. Stevens that you all were interested in this information. It will be coming solely from him.
Okay.
We are leaning towards a uniform data collection. And so we're focusing more on the local financial report that Karen and Andre provided to us. And hopefully we can get similar information with municipalities from Virginia. But I think the first thing is to get the questions from Mr. Stevens so we can focus on our data collection and provide some factual information for his questions. Is that a good summary? Okay.
Is Nicole on the meeting?
Nicole is not on the meeting today.
Okay.
So we're moving, we're finished the facility tour. The facility tour, we have two proposed dates. One is October 6th and the other one is October 13th. And we'll hear from Martha which one is the best for everybody. I don't know what's your agenda or what's on your calendar,
I
but
can
those are
take
the
a look.
proposed two dates.
And that's going to be like fill up most of the day, right?
Correct. We're,
Yeah.
we're looking for a 10 to 4 timeframe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Monday. Yeah, I'm good for either one of them.
Great, great.
Mondays are usually pretty good for me.
Great. So that'll move us to item number 4, which is the approval of minutes from meeting July 10th and August 24th. Has everyone looked at the minutes? So that was July 10th meeting. And that minutes is just a statement that we were talking to Mr. Stevens. Q&A. There wasn't no substance in the minutes. So can I get it?
Question.
Yeah.
And I don't, we may not be able to do it because it's not part of the agenda, but the June 12th minutes, to my knowledge, have never been approved. Because right in the, as I recall, or actually approval of minutes from, and meeting minutes were referred to the next meeting. And is what it says in the July 10th minutes. In other words, I don't think we've ever approved the June 12th.
Okay.
And Mike, you were here for June 12th. I was here and Karen was here.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the minutes. I need to make the portal a favorite.
One of those really odd set of minutes.
I always picture detail, but I think it's more action is what goes into the minutes, I think.
Yes.
First thing with that is the outstanding action items is not new business, it's old business.
All right, well,
Yeah.
you can,
We can amend it to say that.
amend it to say that. Okay.
Which one are we starting with, Randy?
I was going right now just based on what's on the agenda, which is July 10th. We can maybe move that to old business if you like. But can we get a motion?
Motion for
to-
July 10th.
July 10th, yeah.
I'll move for adoption of July 10th minutes as presented.
Well, if we follow protocol, we're supposed to have a motion and a second before discussion, right? And I would like to have some discussion, so would you second? Because it was just the three of us that were at the meeting, right?
You don't have to be present to discussion.
Oh, okay. Okay, so at our last meeting, the working meeting, we were making conclusions about decisions that seem to have come out of that meeting based on what we remembered in the conversation. But the minutes don't show any of that. So that gives me two things to say. Should we add some more detail specifically in these minutes to show if in fact we made any decisions about going forward? And then secondly, a more general, I think the minutes just generally need to have more detail going forward. But particularly if there's any actions, recommendations, or decisions.
So noted.
But we're talking about July 10th meeting now, right?
Yes, July 10th.
And you were present, Mike.
So
So your June 12th are in there as being referred to the next meeting, so they are outstanding. That's what you were saying.
That's
right?
what I'm saying,
And that's
yeah.
what, and
I
that's
thought
what
they
the-
were all the
Yeah.
time because I printed them out.
that's also part of the
Because I
notes.
thought that's what we needed to be taken care of.
Okay. I apologize for that oversight.
Well,
I think we're struggling a little bit with the fact that they don't get them onto the portal, and we can't get to them sometimes, and that's what happened, not on this one, but on the next one. We couldn't get to them in the portal, so when we got together, we couldn't vote on them.
Yeah, understood.
So having said what I said, if in fact we did not have any decisive actions out of the meeting other than a meet and greet introduction with the town manager, then I'm ready to move on. But if we did, I think they need to be reflected in the meeting.
So was there anything in that meeting that came out of it when you met with the town manager that focused how we were doing things after that?
The only thing that I really recall of importance is still general in that he was looking forward to meeting with us occasionally and expecting us to be actively involved with the treasurer's office as we are, but I don't recall anything specific out of that. So having said that, maybe I'm remembering our meeting, our workshop meeting last week incorrectly. It just seemed to me that we were referring to that meeting as this was what was expected of us.
Recall that being kind of conversation, yeah, because it got a little confusing.
So then I defer to Joe and Randy for words of wisdom there.
Okay, so July 10th does have the July 10th meeting does have approval of the June 12th meeting. But at that meeting, it was deferred.
Correct. On July 10th.
Yes, so then I would say let's in the August 24th meeting, And let me look at the minutes there.
They were deferred, July 10th was deferred on August 24th.
Yeah, so what
So
do we
far-
have? We don't even have minutes for August 24th. We don't have the minutes for August 24th in here, in our portal.
Thought I had emailed them also.
August 14th was the minutes in the portal for August. It's the June 12th that we're missing.
Well, I've got June 12th right here.
Well, June 12th is in the portal. What's not in the portal is August.
I think you sent us
A
June
copy
12th
of
and
I sent-
July 10th.
I believe I said July and August.
I'll tell you.
And that was forwarded to me from Kelly. She asked me to send you guys, those.
I don't see the August in the portal.
And in the portal, the approval of the all right, here. 1 second. Let me get my bearings here. Okay, so June 12th, the approval of the May 8th was approved by Mike and Karen and Joe. I was not at that meeting.
Talking about the May meeting.
Correct.
Yes.
May meeting was
Yeah.
approved.
Okay, so now the July minutes,
Yeah, but that July is what's on the floor, right?
July 10th, yes, is what's on the
Right.
floor.
Was there any reason we can't dispose of that?
Agreed.
Oh,
Yeah, we can't vote on
call for the vote.
for July 10th.
Yes, sir. That's the
So we
one
have a
call for
motion and a
this thing.
second, and we've completed discussion.
Yeah. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Now, can I ask a process question? In order for us to figure out if minutes have been approved, we have to look at a subsequent meeting. Isn't there a way that we could update the minutes of said meeting to indicate that they were approved? So for example, if I wanted to know were the June minutes approved, I can't go to the June minutes to answer that question. I have to go to meetings, the minutes of subsequent meetings.
Yeah,
Give me 1 second. Hold on. I do believe,
They won't put them out.
so in the June meeting in the portal, if you go to the June 10th meeting and you go to the meeting overview, there is a hyperlink for motions and votes under the approval in the minutes for May 27th. And it says, oh, excuse me, I'm looking at the council meeting. Give me one moment. I am so sorry.
Well, I think you're going to say the direction you're headed is, as I currently understand it, in order to figure out if a set of meetings have been approved, you need to go to a subsequent meeting to answer that question. And I would like to think that if we are able to, for example, let's just pull out May. If we wanted to know if May was approved, I think it would be more efficient if we just go to May and we find out that there's an item that's been added, minutes approved at meeting on umpty squat date.
Yep, that would be a question for Kelly in relation to the portal setup. So I am now looking at the correct meeting from June, the June 12th Finance Committee meeting. And if you go to meeting over, but to your point, yes, it is correct. You still do have to go to the subsequent meeting to confirm if the minutes to the
But-
prior month
but
were approved.
Once approved, isn't it available then to the public?
Yes.
So we know it was approved if you can get to us. I guess you could say.
Okay, so to your point, Joe, we have access to the portal which shares with us unapproved minutes. How does the public see the approved minutes? That's in a different place? That's on the website?
From what I understand, what I'm looking at is what the public sees. I'm on the civic clerk website. It's nothing special. You just create a user account. You can see the calendar of all of the town's meetings. And when you open the meeting, you're able to see the agenda, and those things. So I don't want to misspeak. I'm not certain if the public is able to see unapproved minutes, but if they were available, it would be clear, at least my understanding, that they were not approved.
Well, they are not, the public, to Joe's point, the public does not have access to unapproved minutes. I recall that from the planning
Yes.
commission. I've noticed that on the town
You
council.
know better than I do
Right.
on that, yeah.
So there's a lot of points being made here. One is that we do need to get more detailed of the minutes for in order for us to be approved. Second is the tracking, for lack of a better word, tracking of what we've approved. It should be, you go to that meeting and there should be some information where it was approved.
That's my proposal. It doesn't necessarily mean everybody else agrees with that. So.
Well, I mean, does everyone agree to that?
System enough to have an opinion.
I think that they come on the system way too late. And that's part of the reason for it. Okay.
minutes, if you want to read them over.
Oh, no, I've got them on the portal.
Oh, you
got
'em, okay.
I have the
Oh, we
portal.
don't know.
You got them on the portal?
We don't get a notification saying.
Yeah,
that it's finally being posted. We have to wait until
June 12th.
this week, the documentation saying go online.
So that, it doesn't look that way, but these are the minutes. Oh, I could download them to make it look like what you just saw.
Where? Yeah, you have to go to Civic Plus.
Civic Plus.
Yeah, and create an account.
Yeah, so that's what you were just handing to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we're at the point where we still need to approve June and August.
June
correct?
and August, yes. So August, unfortunately, August I do not see in the portal.
Agreed.
No, and I'm not sure if they were uploaded to the portal. I don't know, but Kelly did forward them to me, which I forwarded to all of you last week.
So can we move to approve June 12th?
The draft minutes from the July 10th meeting and the August 24th meeting, or 14th, I'm
You
sorry.
just approved the July 10th, so we're working on June's.
On the 24th,
The
August
14th.
24th.
August 14th.
To approve the August 14th minutes. Motion
A second.
Wait a minute. How are you seeing them?
by email.
Oh,
It was sent to us.
that's right.
This week. Again, this one goes back to, it would be nice to have a little more information.
Wait, who was it?
From,
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor for the August 14th minutes meetings. Is there a second?
Joe seconded it.
A second, okay, by Joe. All those in favor?
I think I was missing from that meeting, right?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Can you confirm if I was present at that
You
meeting?
were you were missing.
That's right. So I'll abstain.
And one abstention.
But you don't
I
have
was
a
there,
choice
so,
You-
yeah.
voting on.
And
do you?
Andre's abstaining
Probably
as
not.
well.
Sorry.
Andre's abstaining.
Yeah, so I wasn't there.
But we have a quorum and 3 people voted yay, so they're
Yeah.
approved, right? Okay. So then should we move to approve the June minutes, or is that going to stay for a future meeting?
I think that should go under the future meeting because it's not on the agenda.
We did already approve the agenda.
Okay,
I will get that added.
So for the next agenda, we do need to have the 6:12 minutes in there.
Absolutely.
and then the minutes
And
Today's meeting.
Today's
yeah,
meeting,
today's
yes.
minutes as well. Will do.
Some way of making that easier. Do the other committees have this kind of problem with their minutes? Is it us?
I don't know.
I can only share that my experience with the planning commission was that there was a hyperlink in the agenda of a given meeting that would pop you to the minutes of the previous meeting. So we did not have much trouble.
So you just clicked on the email when got
Right.
everything?
So if I'm looking at the agenda for today's meeting,
But through the portal, correct?
yes, right.
Mhm.
Because it was for a meeting that, well, the public could see, but they couldn't
Yes,
see the
yes,
minutes of
yeah, I
previous.
know exactly what you're referencing. And the minutes weren't attached in the portal. So that link you're referencing wouldn't have been available for this meeting agenda.
Well, that's also probably true because this is a different process than was in place when I was on the planning commission, which has been,
Yeah, but I. but
2
we-
years
we
ago
could
now.
do that.
pardon me?
I said we could do that, though. We could have the attachments in the packet to have that
Okay.
happen, just as you're referencing.
That would make it more efficient, right? So when we get to the line item on the agenda, approve the minutes, here they are. Whether you can see them right there or click to something.
Okay. We okay, Martha? You have those notes? Is that good? Okay. So moving on to new business, October meeting agenda items. Of course, we should reflect all the concerns for the minutes.
Mhm. Yep, and like I
I
said, we should
could-
have response from Mr. Stevens, on those questions.
Questions? Yes. And we should probably continue with the reserves comparative analysis discussion.
So what's your definition of the reserves comparative analysis discussion? Is that doing the GFOA review and coming up with suggestions for reserves, or is that the other piece that you're working on?
No, the reserves would be, because I think that is what Mr. Stevens is looking for priority. And that would be the comments from the associations of GFOA, MML. And if there are recommendations from GAP. And then we'll come up with an analysis on the reserves on a percentage of revenues.
So I have a question. In looking at the emails in the last week, particularly from Andre and Nicole, you two were doing validating. Can you help me understand what you mean by the validating?
Yeah,
What you were doing?
So what Nicole did is when she compiled all that information, she more or less just used AI. So basically with AI hallucinating and making up data sometimes, she wanted us to go back and hand check each data point to make sure that that was actually the accurate information. So we weren't basing off anything. But earlier today, we had a discussion where the information that she put together, there was what, maybe 30, 35, maybe even 40 different columns of data points, and each town kind of reports stuff differently. So some towns had this, other towns didn't. So there's a lot of mismatched information. So that comparison document from the last meeting that we were talking about, the one that shows every single municipality in
Yeah.
Maryland, that one is very uniform and basically has the exact same line items for each town. So I think we're kind of leaning back towards that one.
So since the focus right now is on the reserves, were there any concerns from you or Nicole about the validation of anything in those records regarding reserves?
I think don't want to speak. I think we're kind of waiting for Mr. Stevenson's priorities, and then I think we might kind of retackle that because we want to focus on the reserve portion for our town. And then once Mr. Stevenson tells us what he actually wants from us or gives us a 10-point priority list or whatever, then we will probably circle back to that.
Okay, so
So
I'm confused. What are we supposed to be focusing on right now, this part of the agenda?
Well, Karen asked for the reserves. I mean, what does that mean? I'm trying to explain, okay, once we get the information from the questions from Mr. Stevens, that would solidify how we want to present this reserve information.
And I think that's an agenda for the next meeting. That's what
Okay.
we're setting right now.
And then looking ahead, I would say that I forwarded everybody the reserves of, I think, 4
Right.
municipalities. We use that information as a percent of revenues and combine that with all the recommendations from the GFOA, the MML, and GAP, or what the recommendations are. This is where we are percentage-wise. This is compared to other counties, and these are the recommendations from the associations.
So I'm going to pick on a word. You said percent of revenues. Wouldn't it be better to do percent of expenses?
Why?
General thinking that I have is if I know that I spend, let's say, $100,000 in a year and I want to make sure I've got 2 months of reserves, it's based on the expenses, not my income. I want to make sure that if suddenly my income stops, I've got 2 months to figure out what to do about it if I use 2 months as the reserves.
I think you can get that, whether it's percent of revenues or percent of expenses, but we can show both if you like.
Okay, I'm just be aware that I tend to think reserves is going to be a percentage of expenses. And I'm open to be redirected on that. So
That's fine. That's fine. We can do percentage of expenses.
I think one of the things that we got to today was reserves are going to be handled now. We're going to come up with a way of handling as a percentage or whatever it is. And Randy has this document that he's been working on that he's built using the methodology that Andre used as per capita. But Randy has put in the PDF 2023 information into it. So he's got better numbers and looking at it from, it's pretty uniform in the way it's handled. And that's something that we're going to look at down the road, right?
Yes.
If it ties back to what Mr. Stevens wants.
Correct.
right.
So we're not out there just trying to find all this information, which is what I felt we were doing last week.
Right.
I feel like we're a little more focused in.
Yeah. We need a little guidance from
So
Mr. Stevens.
it sounds like Martha's taking notes, right? It sounds like tentatively we want on our agenda for the next meeting, discussion about reserves. And that could be affected by the results of Mr. Stevens' list.
Correct.
He might say, reserves is like number 8 on my list of 10 items. And
I think even if that's the case, Katrina still wants the.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yes.
gonna say. We're not just working, Mr. Stevens. We're hoping to assist Karina as much.
Okay, so that goes back to my question earlier about, is the list that we're getting from Mr. Stevens going to be influenced by the treasurer?
So I just want to add a little bit of clarification from what I've gathered in the discussion. So how I'm going to phrase this to Mr. Stevens is I'm going to say, here is the data that the committee is working on compiling and has compiled thus far. This is the report that they are going to use to be conducting their analysis in these exercises. What do you want from those exercises? What information, what do you want to know? And that's going to be tentative and coming from Mr. Stevens. But in the meantime, the first priority would be the reserves analysis, and then stemming from that, a recommendation on a policy to put in place related to those reserves.
Okay. So
So-
thank you for that. So
Absolutely.
here,
Yes, reserves analysis is not comparative and policy.
And I apologize for the word choice on
Yeah.
the agenda, because that was I said comparative analysis, and I wasn't really sure what to put. So, but yes, you've hit the nail on the head, Karen.
so then if I'm following up on what Karen had just said, we have the work that you and Nicole have done. Randy has updated it by adding the 2023 data. So we've got the latest validated data that will begin working in earnest at the next meeting.
We need to, there's two things coming in here. One is the questions priority from Mr. Stevens. Currently, what we have in place is current information that everyone has validated using the 2026 budget, financial budgets, documents. We do also have a consistent report from the FY 2023 information. The question here is, should we use a consistent formatted information, or should we use information, as Andrew said earlier, that information exists, information does not exist. Where do we go?
Use the 2023. Because everything is the same, they're counting apples and apples.
Yep.
We, on the other document, are not 100% sure that we're looking at apples and
Yep.
apples.
All right.
And it also goes back to your statement, Randy, at the working meeting about the authoritative nature of that information.
Yes.
I'm not saying that the information that you and Nicole looked at earlier is any less authoritative, but apparently the state of Maryland, when they do that report, they're going through a similar exercise
Yeah.
to make sure that there's at least consistency and provides that level of that's the wrong word. Authority, okay? Please don't write that word down. That was
Yeah.
not what I intended.
Yeah. So, yeah, so I think we're moving in the right direction. I think it needs to be validated with the questions coming from the town manager. We already know how in our minds, how we want to present the reserves, whether it's percent by expenditures, percent by revenues, however we want to do it. We got both that information. And then we can just forward that to them.
Excellent.
So I think we're moving in the right direction.
We don't have to. Right, we've done the validation, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we're not doing that.
That makes sense?
It makes sense, and it makes me feel better too, because last week I had the sense that we were trying to solve the world's problems. You need to figure out a way to focus on which piece of the world are we going to tackle first.
Because the world
Sounds like
is
we're
big.
moving in that direction. right?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Andy's got.
I'm go- I'll-
Version of it.
So I'll finish the information that I'm gathering using this report, which is the 2023 local financial report. I'll finish it and then I'll distribute it to everybody and see.
Put working documents in, like, basically, we were inside Nicole's, I'm assuming her offices. Portal.
Oh, sure, like
It's like
a
on a
Google
OneDrive.
Docs or like, yeah, like a
Yeah.
SharePoint or something. No, the town doesn't have, so I can't speak for any other committee, or commission or board, but I sit on the La Plata Community Foundation and we just use a Google, like Dropbox kind of thing.
Maybe we need to set up something, because I got locked out of that at least 8 times.
Me too.
At different, somebody probably went in with an iPhone or an iPad. And then I went in with a computer, because sometimes it was the iPad that was locked out, sometimes I got in the iPad, but I couldn't get in on the computer.
Mm.
So Martha just gave me the hint that maybe we could just come up with a Google Drive. that we
Well,
could
that's
share.
what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
think that would-
Yeah, anybody that has a Gmail account can
Yeah.
create, just in your little Gmail, that's exactly what I did.
And that way we could update the file and different people could be looking at it and updating it if we're doing different parts of it, because that was useful.
Yes.
So I am not technically savvy regarding that. The internet is a whole different world to me. I don't know. So if there's someone in this
I
committee,
can set that up.
you
Pretty
could,
there.
you
Yeah.
could do that, okay, because I am not,
I know enough to get me in trouble. most
all I
of the
know is how to
time,
turn it on.
Well, that suggests to me, I mean, I've been using my Verizon.net email. I have a gmail.com email too. Maybe I ought to revert to that for purposes of working on this committee. Just make it simpler to get to a drive.
A Gmail account.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we do that,
So
it would be great.
who's-
We'll be able to see what's happening, and if somebody has something they want to share, we don't
Yeah,
have
drop
to
it.
email to everybody, we can just drop it in
Right.
there.
Okay,
Yeah, it is very helpful for that kind of stuff, yeah.
Well, when you drop
So-
it in, will we know something's been dropped in? Does it let you know it's changed?
I think there's notification settings in there. I don't recall, I don't think I have them set up.
There are, but unfortunately you have to set them individually. Like I can't set the notification to be sent to everyone. Like you could still send an email saying, hey, I dropped this in there, but I don't
Right.
think there's a way that I can make it auto notify. You can
Okay,
go in
so
there and change it to say, hey,
We just need
I'm in.
to check it now and then.
Mhm.
okay.
That would be easier because it took me a while hunting around in my emails here
Mm-hmm.
to get to even
Yes.
minutes. And if we had everything in the drive,
Yeah.
we just know one place, here's the drive.
Yeah.
And if any one of us had changed it, whenever we go into a particular document, we see the change.
And you'll be able to see who made the changes.
Right.
Yep.
As well, which is good, because I couldn't tell who was working on what in that document, because we were all guests,
Yeah, oh, okay.
the one that we just were in.
Mhm.
Okay,
Well, we've done a lot today.
Yeah,
yes, yes,
this is wonderful.
okay.
So Andrew's setting up a Google.
Yeah, thank you, Andre,
No worries.
thank you.
And there's nothing that says that we cannot do that, right?
Correct. I don't believe there's anything against having just a common, a shared file drive. I don't think so.
A shared file drive, now, we're talking about exercises like this. I mean,
Yeah.
everything else, like the minutes and the agenda and
No,
everything else would be,
That would go in there.
in
This
the
would be
portal.
for for your working documents.
right. All right,
Cool.
so we don't have any old business, but, the next item would be to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Before we do that, I have put together a little book that has the ordinance that created our committee, has our rules and procedures, and Karen shared with us a list of actions. And I want to look at that a little bit more deeply and get some more organization on that, but I'm thinking this might be a thought for an agenda item for the next meeting. I'm thinking that we ought to put in there a review of outstanding action items. Where do we stand on them? Who has the next step and so forth? Otherwise, I think we're going to lose them. So that was a valuable
I was gonna say, I think that,
exercise.
you guys had a great list, that I think Nicole had forwarded of some outstanding items.
Yeah, and Karen.
Karen did.
one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Karen, yes, so
Karen,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was everything, and I marked the ones that we completed as closed,
Right.
because they should be in our records. If we have an outstanding item, when it becomes an outstanding item and it gets pushed to outstanding, when we close it, it should be in the minutes that
Right.
that item has been.
Right. And I'm almost thinking we could put together a table that lists the action, who's responsible, and when it's completed, close, grayed out or whatever, to show that we don't have to look at that one again. But there's the record of when it was closed, which will be reflected in the minutes as you've
I think that's
indicated.
important because the way our minutes are, and I think they're gonna get better because we're asking for more information. But at the moment, the only way we're gonna get any information is by sitting and listening to all of these meetings.
Mhm.
Because our minutes are just discussion up until now.
Yes. And so maybe we can put that under the old business for the next meeting?
Got it.
It should be
Got
a
it.
standing item.
Yes.
Yep, and I'm actually gonna go ahead and take care of, before the week is over, I'm gonna draft the agenda. I'm gonna have everything ready for when, Karina does return. Hopefully we'll just be ready to pick up like she was never gone. I do want to share off the record. She sent us some pictures from Croatia yesterday. She's at a stunning waterfall location, wherever it is, but to all the ladies in the department, she said, this is why I wanted to come here. So it sounds like he's having a very good time. Yeah. Yep,
So Mike, are you able to put that in a
Yeah, I'll take,
PDF and
yeah, I'll
send it
take
to
what
us?
Karen has put together. I'm envisioning if we had it in a table. I'll share that with everyone as a starting point for our discussion next week. And then I think Karen was pretty much echoing me. It ought to be a standing item on an agenda to review
Yes,
outstanding actions, lest
with
we
that
forget
book
that.
too.
we could add that to
Your-
we could
your
add
book.
that to the agenda.
Oh, I could, oh yeah, I could,
Is that
sure, I could
possible?
do that. Yep.
Yes,
mhm,
okay.
Yep.
That way it's recorded and we're okay. All right?
And I think that it's important every now and then to do a review of the information in front of the book to make sure that we're staying on track of what we're supposed to be working on. Because it's very clear what the finance committee is supposed to be doing in that document. And if we start changing that, then we should do a revision to that document.
Yeah, that's exactly what prompted me to put the book together, because I got the feeling last week we were getting into what could be called scope creep. Next thing you know, we're doing public works stuff. That's not our job.
Okay.
Much as we might like to be involved in that, but
Okay. Anything else? For the good of the order? Anything?
No, I appreciate you guys letting me sit in with the group. It's been really fun. I do feel like the last meeting I kind of overstepped my bounds of engagement. So I'm glad it was off the record. Just excited to have the opportunity to sit with you guys in discussion. It's been very, very rewarding for me. So thank you.
you're always welcome.
I'm listening from above. I don't know if you guys ever see me log in, but I knew you all well before you knew me. So this was very rewarding for me.
I keep forgetting that.
It's like Big Brother, you know, I'm watching.
Well-
You know what else would be really nice to have on the agenda, and this may come under new business or something, but I'd like to know what their decisions they're making that we're not hearing about. Because I don't go to the Tuesday meetings. And I don't listen into the Tuesday meetings, but I mean, I heard some noise that Dorchester might not be might not be interested in doing Dorchester anymore. I think we should know that as the finance committee, because we're busy looking at the funding
Yeah.
for Dorchester.
Yeah, that's definitely something we can mull over with Karina to see just sort of any prominent or pertinent. And I'm kind of glad you mentioned that, because that's why when you had the questions on the vendor report, I did want to share that the council member had the exact same question that you did. And I think that's also helpful to kind of see the alignment sort of, so to speak. So I can talk to Karina about that.
So one simple way we could at least see their minutes. Earlier in my life in this committee, I was able to sit in and watch those meetings. My schedule is such that I hardly get that chance. So
Well, they just had a
But
big water thing apparently, and
Yeah.
I can't find any notes on it. They sent the notes from the portal and I go looking and I can't find them. So I don't know if I'm in the right place.
But there is, I'm sure each resident can go into the website and look at their minutes, right? Approved minutes?
Mhm.
yes,
Approved,
Approved minutes, yes, yes.
which means that.
So it'll be a meeting behind, will be a meeting behind.
In terms
Right.
of the minutes, yes, but I do believe the video was posted on YouTube, I think a day or two after the meeting. But again, that would put you, some meetings go very lengthy,
You'd have to watch it the morning of our meeting, basically.
sure.
It would just be if there's a
Yeah.
discussion going along a certain way and you guys are there, it would be nice to have a bulleted list of things that are on their agenda so
Yeah.
that we're not like, whoa, where did that come from?
Just a little recap. I could even offer, for myself to take on that for Karina, because even though I'm not in person, I do attend the majority of the meetings virtually. So I wouldn't have a problem kind of helping out with that at all. Yeah. Wonderful.
That's a good idea that we can have someone speak to the highlights of the meeting.
Yeah, just a,
I
hey,
think
here's a
that'd
quick
be good,
recap of what
yes.
happened last night. Or whatever the day may be.
Because I saw some social media stuff about the water thing and the discussion that was going down, and then it says, but I'll put a more detailed discussion out here later on, which was fine and dandy, but
No,
it's out on the portal, and I'm like, well, I can't find it. You know, and that is important to us because that's one of our action items.
exactly who you're talking about.
Okay, anything else for the good of the order?
It's been a good meeting.
Good meeting.
thanks for allowing me to speak so much in my hour.
At the same time, we all do, right? We'll make it up.
Well, we waited for you until you came back for the minutes, so I'm glad, and you did get some good perspectives on the meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, do I get a motion to adjourn? Second?
Mhm.
All those in favor?
Stand up.
Okay.
All right.
That's a good one. All those in favor, stand up. That's good.
Meeting over.